Hey yo, what is up guys? Your boy's back, and I did just beat Sly 2, so I wanted to start this off with talking, well, I'm about to play Sly 3. So, Sly 3, if I remember correctly, I thought it was the weakest of the original Sly trilogy. I don't know if it's the weakest Sly game, but we're probably going to find that out. That's just how I remember thinking about this game. Not that it was a lot of fun, but I remember having like problems and stuff with it. But I also remember having a lot of fun with it as well. So I actually just don't know everything I have to say about it. But I remember getting it as a kid, and I remember I had a lot of fun playing it. And it's always fun to play. Like you always just like when you finally like beat the game, you're just like, mwah. But yeah, I'm gonna go start this up, and we'll talk about it. All right, so I was technically supposed to talk about this when I got to the end of episode 3, but this game is actually really addictive and fun, so you kind of just get hooked into it and you just kind of keep playing. So, yeah, that's one of the best things I can say about Sly 3 is it's actually a really fun game, that's for sure. The first level is great, the Venice level, it's a lot of fun, I quite like it a lot. This game, it brings in a lot of new stuff, so you get a it doesn't. I wish they would have done this a little bit better than they did in the. They could have done a little better as the disguises, but I like that they're in there, and I like that it's kind of added in. It kind of adds a new little element to the gameplay that you can play as. Dressing up in disguises and talking to the guards and stuff, I think was a really cool add-on. The portrait missions, where you go up to the portrait and have to find the code in the portrait, I think is really cool. I understand that can be kind of tedious, but it's actually really fun, and I actually quite like it. The game has really memorable villains and stuff like that. Octavio, General Tao, Dr. M. They're all really memorable. I quite liked all of them. Except for the Black Baron kind of gets undermined because once you find out the secret about him, it's kind of like, you don't really like think about him anymore like that. And the mask level, okay, the Australia level kind of sucked. I'll just get that off the chest now. I didn't like the Australia level too much. The character writing in this game, it's just as funny and as in the last two, and it's really well done. So yeah, I guess I should talk about the gameplay real quick. The gameplay, it's Sly Cooper, Sly and Murray are virtually the same as Sly 2, and Sly is the same as Sly 1 and 2. And Bentley gets the most change because he gets put into a wheelchair. I kind of don't like that aspect. I think it kind of OPs him a little too much as opposed to the second game where you had to be a little bit more technical when you played as Bentley, but it is what it is. Yeah, so that I kind of want to get into talking about the story aspect of this game. I'm not, because here's where I'm going to start talking about some of the cons and things I did have an issue with when I was a kid. I don't like the story of the game as much as the first two. I don't think it has as much to do with thieving. It doesn't really feel like, I don't know how you, like, the levels, they kind of just seem scattered and all over the place, and you forget why you're there or why you're even doing the missions in the first place, whereas opposed to the second one, you know you have a job to pull off and what you're working towards. So the gameplay fits the narrative of the story, which really helps out. And yeah, this one, it just kind of seems all over the place, and you forget the whole point of the game when you're like playing through it and you're trying to figure out when you're just playing through the old missions, because the game starts off in the future and then you go back and play the past, which I don't like as much. So yeah, it's not actually like a terrible game. It's not. I mean, the story's not terrible. It's just not as good. It's just kind of like it's not. It's an action movie. It's not a heist movie or a film noir or a thief movie. It just, you don't feel like you're playing as much of a thief as you do as you're playing a part of this. I don't know, like you're a part of the Expendables, I guess you would say. That's sort of what they try to make it into. So yeah, I don't really like the whole concept of, okay, I'm sorry, getting characters and stuff. I don't know. I didn't like that aspect as much. Oh, the hazard room I thought was really dumb to bring in Turational this deep into the series. I just think that was really unnecessary. The add-on characters I don't really care for. You know the ones, all of them pretty much. I think Sly, Bentley, and Murray. I think this game would have been a lot better had they kept that main core and just made another solid story and fun missions, and it would have worked just fine. So, yeah, that's what I have to say about this. I'm going to finish up, beat the game, and we'll be back talking about the rest of it here in a minute. All right, so let's talk about it. The end of Sly 3. So first off, I wanted to say this game, I didn't mention this in the positive thing, what I wanted to mention earlier was the music for this game. It's actually, again, on point. Really good music and good sound design for this game. So yeah, I didn't actually mention that earlier. And so yeah, this game... Okay, yeah, I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but there was no clue bottles in this game. Yeah, no clue bottles, no treasures, so it made a lot of pickpocketing, and it made the levels a lot longer than they otherwise needed to be. So, yeah, I didn't really like that too much. They took out the clue bottles and took out the treasures, so kind of made the world seem a little more empty than they were. So, let's just talk about the last bit here. So this is the last Sly Cooper game released till 2013. Technically, yeah, so another 5 years would go by till we get the Sly collection, which would give us the Sly 4 Thieves, which would give us the E3 2011 that would, again, finally announce Sly Cooper. So, it's kind of a bittersweet game for just years on end. This was the last Sly Cooper game we had, and we had no mention of the series. Sucker Punch went off and they made Infamous, which I will talk about in the future. I don't know when, but I'm going to. Anyways, so yeah, again, this game, it leaves you on the biggest cliffhanger, and yeah, and it's just like, but so apparently that cliffhanger was supposed to lead to a PSP game called Sly Cooper Thieves in Time, which there is a lot of pictures of the original art design before it was originally shut down, and then we got Sly Cooper Thieves in Time in 2013. So yeah, this game for the longest time was the last in the series, and it felt like forever. There was no mention of it, no mention of anything, and yeah, it's just like the ending of it. I don't even know how to really like talk about it. It just, again, it like kind of sends the whole gang off, and they all kind of separate and stuff. And it's like Bentley said, the end of the road's bittersweet, like it always is. And yeah, I don't know how I felt. Like I mean, I remember when I was like 13, I said to my friend that I'm like, I wish it was just the last Sly Cooper game, so then that way we just had the trilogy and that was it. And then that way it could be like there was no cliffhanger ending where it's like, uh-oh, what's gonna happen next? And eventually we did find out what happens next. But yeah. So another thing I would like to mention about this game is apparently it was one of Sony's big releases in 2005 because Jak and Daxter had released their last game made by Naughty Dog, which was Jak X Racing, I believe it was what it was called, and Ratchet and Clank released Ratchet Deadlock. But Ratchet and Clank's still going strong, but Sly got a little bit of life after this, and Daxter only got a collection released. So yeah, I guess Sony just didn't see the market in these characters, which kind of sucks. So, yeah, Sly 3, it's a fun game, a really fun game. Definitely my least favorite in the trilogy. You get away from the thieving aspects, you get put on these add-on characters, which all kind of suck, but I mean, the game overall is a lot of fun when you do get to play as Sly, and it is a lot of fun, and it's still a Sly Cooper game, and it's still a Sucker Punch game, so you're getting at least a good game. At the very best is it's going to be good, which it was. It was solid. Just not great. But yeah, awesome game, and yeah, bittersweet ending to the Sly Cooper trilogy here. But if you played the Sly collection, you know there's a tease for Sly 4 in it, and that got us all hyped. So next up, I'm going to be talking about Sly 4, and yeah, make sure you guys play all these games. Like I said, Sly collection on PSN. Make sure you guys check these games out. Alright, when you guys want to see me next, I'll be talking about Sly Cooper, Thieves in Time, and peace out, guys.